Hello, welcome to Happy Gaming House. I'm your host Jesse, and today we're at the Nostalgia Box, Australia's only interactive video game museum, and let's go take a look inside. So we have like 30 consoles set up for you to play. Look at this, wow, Halo, Marvel vs. Capcom, so many consoles, oh my god. All those stations set up there against the wall. We go down here, Pong. They have a high score, and if you beat him, beat the boss. Look at this. If you can beat the boss, then you're gonna get a great prize. You can challenge him twice. You're gonna get 2 chances to challenge the boss. Good luck. We've got Duck Hunt over here. Well done. Some arcade games actually, which I really like. Street Fighter, bunch of Street Fighter games. Galaga. NBA Jam. We just did a video on that recently as well, but we had the Sega CD version. So this is the actual original arcade cabinet of NBA Jam. I love this game. And we got I think Frogger over here as well. Got it. Take that. Boom, 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 boom. Easy. Okay. They have a Dreamcast, which I love. And look at this, the VMU. It's a cool little display. I wonder if you can see that there. Please be extra careful with these consoles and controllers when playing. They are very old. So that's an important thing to know. We're going to be extra careful. We have Sega Mega Drive 2 here, which is one of my earliest consoles, and Mortal Kombat. So we're going to get it going on the Mortal Kombat. Oh! Take that, Channy Cage. I'll finish him. I don't know any fatalities anymore. Kano wins. I'm not playing Mario. I've played Mario a billion times. Give me some Spyro. Yeah. I can breathe fire. They let you fly and breathe fire. I mean, most games don't even have that.
Video games are an amazing art form. It can be sometimes some of the first things that people do recreationally, sort of thing. People really love it. And the Nostalgia Box is that, to sort of bring back that childhood memory of, I remember playing this and this was amazing. We also are very big on video game preservation. Yes. We want to, because obviously a lot of this stuff gets thrown out, like literally.
You're very events focused and community orientated. And I don't believe you don't get government funding.
To make sure that we can keep this place running, we have 3 different types of business models. We have the general entry, where people come in for, to actually still see the stuff, and then they get to play all the retro video games. We hold private events, so birthday parties, corporate events, like Bucks Nights, like you name it. We've done speed dating here, where instead of people doing tables, they actually sit at a console and they actually play with a random person sort of thing and continue around. With those different revenue streams coming in, we're able to sort of keep this place going, keep building up to it, and just making it better and better. How
important is it for you guys to actually be a hub, not only for the history of gaming, but the Perth video game development?
Look, it's really important to support that industry in any way we can. We've always got ongoing projects that we're trying to get off the ground as well. We've approached some of the locals, like TAFEs, universities and things like that, seeing if they would like to get their kids to make an arcade game, which they can then change out, so that way they can basically, every year they can make a new arcade, but the public can actually play it and try things like that.
Fantastic. So I see this as a very vibrant, collaborative space. You have a lot of different groups and community people. Tell us about your project with Curtin University.
One of the things we're trying to do with Curtin University is make what we're calling the ART, the accessible remote control. And so what that will be is a controller for those who have mobility issues, those with MS or cystic fibrosis, or it's the people that actually come here regularly, who love playing this stuff, but if we can make that a little bit more accessible for them, they're great. The end goal will be to have one controller that has got different ports for each console, but for our first prototype, we're basically going to be working on an N64, and then once we've got that patched down,
easy enough to port it to other.
Exactly.
Have you noticed that there is more awareness of this need to put game preservation?
Absolutely. If you go to the Nintendo store, you can't get any of your Wii U games anymore and all this sort of stuff, because they just decided we don't want it anymore. Yeah. It is so important that we keep this sort of stuff going. So if a corporation decides it's no longer profitable, it doesn't disappear, because at the end of the day, they're just looking at it as a loss and they will just cut it off, whereas this can be a huge deal for a lot of people, especially for the history side.
I know that libraries and other institutions, there's legal hurdles to them preserving stuff or backing things up. So having these spaces that sort of straddle that line, I think, are very valuable.
Absolutely.
Do you have any sort of favorite things that you personally have a resonance for you? Because what is your gaming story?
Well, funny story. So, I was never really a big gamer.
Oh,
I know.
Confession here.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna spill all the tea now. So basically, when Jessie's, the original owner, told me that she was selling business, even when it was that small, tiny space, I could see so much potential. And we are now bigger and better than where we were, sort of thing. And that is only, and I will say it 100%, it is because of the community and the support that this place brings, sort of thing. Because people can see what it is. When they know about it, they come back. That's the way it works.
I think more than anything else, and our channel is called Happy Gaming House, and I think the ethos behind that was the idea of this big house that brings happy gaming. I mean, it's very literal, but it is true. You're in there and you've got this idea that you're all together in a home. So thank you, David Green, so much for the interview, and maybe we can have a little walk around and check out the collection.
Please enjoy. It's all here for you.
Wonderful. I'm excited.
This is the forerunner of everything you know and love. Your Xboxes, your PlayStations, Wii U's. This was the great-great-grandfather. The thing is, though, it kind of sucked.
Okay.
Because see that screen at the back there?
Yep.
So if we wanted to play the Haunted House game, you actually had to stick that stencil onto your TV screen, put the cartridge in, and then you'd be playing as a little dot of light. But it was the first of its kind, and it was a forerunner, so nothing can be perfect. The thing that made everyone lose their mind over video games
was this little one down here.
The Pong system. If you didn't have one, you were the biggest loser in the playground. So Pong was actually on the Magnavox Odyssey, but what they did is they gave it 3 improvements. They gave it sound, they gave it a scorecard, and they made it so as the ball hit the paddles, it got faster and faster.
Yes.
1977, Atari's crowning and most notable console, the Atari 2600. It was the first one to introduce third-party developers, and they had over 500 different games by the end of its lifespan. I'd like to point out that that is not 500 good games. The OG Nintendo, this was Nintendo's first foray into the market, so the Nintendo TV Color game. So they were actually a distributor for Magnavox Odyssey. So what you were seeing back there is what they were doing here in Japan. Then of course, the crash happened.
1982, I think.
1983. 83, here it is. Right. With the introduction of the computer systems and becoming more affordable, the question was, why would I buy a video game console when I could buy a computer which can play video games and I can do work on? And then of course, Atari decided to release a little game called E.T. It was basically a little alien going from room to room trying to find keys. There was no way to actually win against the game. You literally just kept building score and you just turned it off when that was it. It was a flop. And because it was so bad, people returned it in droves. Atari had nothing to do with it. They couldn't do anything with it. So they ended up taking a big shovel, going into the middle of the desert and burying them. While the West was on fire, Japan was doing its own thing, so they released the Famicom computer. They still wanted a little bit of that sweet, sweet US money. So they decided to release the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, the interesting part about what they did here is they made sure the marketing was nothing to do with video games.
This isn't video games, this is entertainment.
This is a toy. It was the hottest toy for Christmas sort of thing.
Gotcha.
So they added Rob the Robot, obviously, which was a great gimmick. They had a Duck Hunt, and of course, with the iconic Mario, was exactly what the West needed. And then everyone fell in love with video games again, and they became the biggest contender in the West.
Okay, so we lost Dave because he had to actually go and run the museum, but we still have the rest of video game history here. We move on to the era most people might be familiar with. This is the first console I grew up with, the Sega Master System 2, with the early Sega stuff here, and Super Nintendo. Moving on. Now this is some of our favorite stuff at Happy Gaming House here, the Neo Geo Advanced Entertainment System, the home Neo Geo console. So these fighting games, you've got Fatal Fury, you've got King of Fighters. This is absolutely one of the most valuable things they have here at the museum. These do not come cheap. Loopy, one of the greatest Casio's console, one of the few consoles that were targeted at women, and it has a built-in printer. This Virtual Boy here was sort of, you can see here, it's got a stand and you just put your head in there. It was more like a glorified 3D viewfinder. Wasn't very successful, but it has a bit of a cult following. I've spotted some Chinese gaming history here. the Chinese only IQ by Shenyou, 2003. Let's see what they say. IQ Play was sold exclusively in China. There we are. We have all the IQ games, so maybe we should donate them to the museum, because they seem to only have Dr. Mario. We have the complete collection. Here we're basically in the modern era, and I think they have some mech stuff here. Wow, look at this controller there. Fantastic. We have a very infamous game over here, Custer's Revenge. Horrible politics here. One of the first X-rated games in the 80s, which is quite interesting. And down here, we have another console that I'm really interested to try. This is the Virtrex from 1982. Now, this is a vector-based display console, integrated vector monitor and displayed vector graphics. We actually also have a lot of video game magazines. So we're doing work on the history of video game magazines in China, of course, but we have some classic Australian video game magazines, and this is the magazine I grew up, which is Hyper Magazine. So this is, I guess, the Game Informer or something like that of Australia. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out the Power Glove. Wanted Nintendo Power Glove to display here. Well, I think they've managed to get what they were looking for. They actually have a Pippin. Apple's only console with Atmark, Advanced Technology, the Apple and Bandai collaboration console. We have one of these, but they're rare to see. So we had a wonderful time today at the Nostalgia Box in Perth on Happy Gaming House. We got to talk to David Green, hear some history about the Nostalgia Box, the importance of game preservation, game museums, and just enjoying video games. I got to play some Mortal Kombat and a bunch of other games, so I'm pretty happy.